Okay, I got my tape on there, and it's overlapping my center point, which is just how I like to do it. If it comes one way or the other, it doesn't really matter. You're just looking for a place to keep this thing from moving. And if you're comfortable with it, that's fine. You can just go ahead and do what we're going to do here called hinging right now. Or you can put a piece of tape on the end you're not going to work with at the moment, so that if you have a fear of it, I think you'll find out you won't need that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lift this up, okay? And as I lift this up, hopefully I can do this with my phone, you can see that the lettering is staying on the transfer paper. And I don't want this piece of tape to move too much, so you definitely want a good adhesion on your vehicle. Once that's up, you can have somebody help you. Do you want to take a pair of scissors or something? And you're going to cut this off. And it doesn't matter where. You just want to get that cut off there and get it out of the way. Okay? Then, this is the tricky part. You want to be really careful and really careful with this one. But you want to start laying this down, starting at that seam, okay? Let's see if I can do this. So you start laying that down. Let's see if I can do this here. You want to start here and just start rubbing this back and forth, back and forth. Oops, and keep that straight. Don't let it bubble like I just did. Trying to hold the camera. See how I started from this point and I went out, okay? Then we're going to remove this tape. We don't need it anymore. We might be able to use it for the next piece. We're going to do the same thing here. This is just a sample, by the way. You don't have to worry about the registered trademark because I didn't want to use the extra tape. So now I'm lifting this off. I know it's hard to see because I'm screwing up my camera a little bit with all that I have to do. Now I want to show you something here. I'm going to lift this, and the R is kind of not. So you want to make sure you pay attention when you very carefully lift this off. And if that doesn't want to lift, go back and rub that on. Oops, doing it again. This is some weird vinyl I had here, so I'm not surprised I'm having some issues with it. Let's see how now it'll take, and it's happening here again on the leg of the R. But sometimes it helps to kind of roll, like I'm going downward 45 degrees and then upwards 45 degrees to get that off, and I'm going very slow. You don't want to rip this, otherwise you're going to have a real mess. Okay, so now I'm going to take that out. And we already know that that part's already adhesion down, so we're going to do the same thing here. I'm going to start on this end, and I'm going to start smoothing this down. It's best if you can have that held up just a little bit. Okay? Now, I'm going to take my squeegee, and I'm going to work that on there really good. I want to really make sure that that lettering is not going to go anywhere. Okay, then I would start from this corner over here, the right lower corner. Actually, it's going to have to be this one because I put this little skinny one on, I think. No, I guess not. All right, so we're going to start here. Very slowly, keep your tape flat. So I'm keeping it flat, I'm not lifting it up like that. And you can kind of roll it back and forth like this. Okay? Each letter, just be very slow about this. You don't want to rip, because if you go fast, I've actually torn letters and I've had to start over, so you don't want to have that happen. Oops, see there? All I wanted to grab. Okay, go back. And you should have a really good adhesion on here. It shouldn't be popping up like this. Now this is some kind of like particle board or whatever, so it's not an ideal substrate for vinyl lettering. It's working for my example here, but it would stick to a car or something much nicer than this even. So here's a little key for you. Temperature matters, okay? You want to do this in the shade if it's a hot day. I wouldn't do this in direct sunlight if you can avoid it. And you don't want it to be cold, and you don't want it to be wet. You want your metal warm. It doesn't have to be blistery hot. but you want it warm. And just take your time. So here you go. There's what you got. And if you wanted to put another line of text here, you can add put all your lines of text in with your little piece of masking tape down the middle. Set it all up. Make sure everything's square to the world. And step back and look at it. And then you can start doing this process. And it's not bad to do. You can probably go back with this a little bit. But here's what I would mention. Sometimes you end up with air bubbles underneath your vinyl. And you can either take a pin and just poke that, just a puncture, and kind of rub on it, and that'll pop the air out of that. And the other thing is that once it hits, it's in the daylight, it will flatten out. It shouldn't be a problem for you. But that's all there is to it. And if you have any questions or anything, let me know. I'm more than happy to answer them. And looking forward to your order. Thanks a lot.